Hey, we're live. All right. Okay, I am checking in on everything in my video. Hello, everybody. Welcome to welcome to CoeDynamics' first live talk. I'm just getting things set up right now. Just making sure that I've got the YouTube going, the Facebook going, and was having some technical difficulties, which didn't surprise me. And got this going here. All right. Unit. Okay. Hello, hello. Hi, Michelle. Um, just getting things set up here. Want to check my chats. Yeah. All right.
Let me see, where's my video?
I'm gonna make sure that all this here. Chat mute. Okay. Okay, I'm still just getting things set up, everybody. So this is Tracy, Tracy Coe, and I am on live right now. We're going to be doing a health talk live today. And being this is the first live talk, I've been trying to get some things set up on Facebook and YouTube and working the technology that comes out with this. I hope everybody's having a great day, no matter where you are in the country right now. I know here it's gorgeous. I'm in California right now, and it's really pretty right now out here. Let's see, let me try to get to looking at my chat views when I get on this. Insights. Looking for some people to come on. So I've got a Zoom chat, and I'm looking to see if there's a Facebook chat. I don't think there's a Facebook chat that I can find right now. But what I'll do is if anybody's on Facebook, I'll go. Cool. I'm just going to wait a few more minutes. My internet's going on. So this is Tracy. Now. And if you're on with me, why don't you just go ahead and leave a hi message. I'm going to get people admitted through the Zoom. So I'm going to have some people coming on Zoom, some people coming on Facebook. Some people are going to be entering through YouTube. And all right, so hi, Myra on Facebook. Hi, Aaron on Facebook. Okay, I'm getting techie. I've got two screens going on, technically three. So this is hi, Michelle. I see you on Zoom. Well, thank you for joining me. I hope everybody's having a great day. So I know you three are in California. It's gorgeous out there, isn't it? Just love the weather. Hi, Miriam. Yes, I see you too. Cool. Awesome. So I'm just going to give a few more minutes for some people to get on. And I had some technical fun times, I shouldn't say difficulties. I had some technical fun times getting this put together. Of course, it wasn't working like it was supposed to. And so I had to run through it about 4 or 5 times before I got this connected. And I was going to do some short runs on this prior to, but so I just made it just in time. So let's see here. I had a couple of fun, interesting things happen. So this past weekend, this has nothing to do with what I'm going to talk about, but this past weekend, I'm so excited. I made this coconut bread, and it should have been called butter bread, butter or egg bread, as far as I'm concerned, but it came out fantastic. Um, it's basically butter, eggs, coconut flour. I think there was some baking soda and some salt. And I felt comfortable enough giving it to other people. So I know it came out really good. And I was really excited about it. So I'll be making it again because I am currently not eating any other types of bread, and I don't have time to make a sourdough bread with yes, I can send the recipe. It's super easy. I can, so I want to make sourdough bread with a particular type of flour, which is called acorn. I don't know if anybody of you heard of that. Again, this has nothing to do with what I'm going to talk about. I'm just kind of getting some people online. Acorn bread, it's flour that it's grain. It's grown in Italy. And the difference on this grain is more to the traditional forms of grain that were not traditional, but just like the original form of grain. Why people have a lot of gluten intolerances is our grain is no longer the same. Most of our grain is much more higher in sugar and carbohydrates, where in the original grains, it was higher in protein levels. Yeah, and so there's a flour out there, a company that's based in Italy, and it's Acorn Grain, Einkorn. So I eventually want to get that flour, which you can get online, I'm sure, but I want to make sourdough bread out of it. But it's just that just takes so much time, so I'm just not doing that right now. Okay, so we've got some people online. I might be admitting some people as I go, and I've got a couple of screens going on, so I am definitely multitasking. And being us, hi Megan, being us as women, I'm going to try to really live up to that task of multitasking. Technical fun times. I'm getting some people admitted at the same time. And just starting to try to focus more on what our content's going to be. I thank you all for joining me. Hi, Carolyn, I see you. Elsa, good. Hi, everybody. Barbara, and everybody can hear me. You can put up a hand, or you can put up a chat or a thumb. I can't see you if you're not putting your video up, but you can always put on your chat screens. You can do a reaction or a hand raise, or you can send a comment in depending on what area you're on. I love the thumbs. Thank you. They got to come up with some different emojis is what I think is what they got to do, is come up with some different emojis, a little bit more fun. But I thank you for joining me. This is CoeDynamics' first live stream health talk, and I am planning to do these once a month, just really short spiels of just different health adjuncts that people might have that might want to get a clearer understanding on them, or something that they can help with their health, or they can pass on to other people. And dear to my heart is a talk that I'm going to have today. It's not just all today. It's a two, maybe 3 or 4 part talk. There's so much involved with it, but dear to my heart is a talk that I like to put together with regards to sleep and getting restored and refreshing sleep. And I'm going to be doing a couple of screen shares, but those who are on Facebook, I don't think you'll be able to see it, but those who are on my Zoom, you'll be able to see the screen shares. And if you want to get the screen shares later on and you're on Facebook, you can feel free to reach out to me. But so sleep is a major issue in basically in America and probably in most countries. And let's see here, I'm just gonna share a screen here. So here we go. Can I get it going? Yeah, so in America, there's like 50 to 70 million Americans that have some form of sleep disorder. 30% to 40% of adults complain of insomnia symptoms, and a lot of different measures of what insomnia is. It could be, waking up in the middle of the night, not going back to sleep, waking up and going back to sleep. You can be not going to sleep at all. And there's just so many levels. Some people actually, and some people, another form of it, these are just some statistics that came out in 2024. There are a lot of people who actually sleep too long. So you can, if you can, for those who don't sleep enough, you're like, how there can be a too long? But yes, there can be like where there's oversleeping as well, with regards to that. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and just maybe how that can associate with different health concerns that you might have. So lack of deep, regular sleep, who can really say that they wake up refreshed pretty consistently, ready to go into their day, ready to get started? And I'm talking without a cup of coffee. Okay. You can like your cup of coffee. I have no problem with that, but you should be able to get up, be refreshed, and go and have that energy to go and have that cognition to go and have that mood to get up and go into your day without the cup of coffee, and have that just be a nice thing to have in your morning if you want that warm feeling in your stomach or that nice taste in your mouth. But really, how many people can say they wake up like that pretty consistently, with that energy, with the motivation to get on your day, with a happy mood? Like, so this is near and dear to my heart because I have been challenged with sleep deprivation for over 15 years. And I have sought so many different elements and people and professionals and non-professionals. And it's just, there's so much that can be involved in it. But I think what happens is we step away from the basic components that really drive a really refreshing sleep, allowing you to get up, be motivated, have the energy, get on in your day, and really being able to go forward in your day and have a good demeanor for that. So here are some other things that people might not even realize that sleep is affecting different health concerns. So a lack of deep, regular sleep can contribute or even be a cause of some major health issues, such as, probably near and dear to most of our hearts, it accelerates your aging process on the outside and the inside. So if you're thinking about, how you look and how, and on the outside, just think about the inside, because it does accelerate the cellular death toll really quickly, and how your organs really function. It will and can cause blood sugar issues. It can cause weight gain or the inability to gain weight. Your cognition, because your brain needs to rest and have enough rest for the sleep to be able to, for your brain to be able to function. It can disturb your mood, definitely can cause depression. These are just different things. It can be associated with allergies and ADD, ADHD, the inability to just cope with your day. These are all different things. High blood pressure, cardiovascular disease. So these are all associated with inadequate sleep on a consistent basis. And then again, that can mean either not sleeping enough or sleeping too much. So it goes in both extremes, really. And then really, what are contributors to sleep issues? The biggest umbrella to this is stress. But stress comes in so many forms and fashions, and then they get multiplied, right? So here are some stressors, and these might start to be some tips for you to consider. Maybe write them down, right? That you can look at and see if these are contributing to, if you have sleep disorders, contributing to your lack of refreshing sleep. So some contributors for that is eating too late. So technically really eating past 6:30, like a main meal after 6:30, it can be a main contributor to insomnia or sleeping too long, right? So your body is supposed to be resting when it's sleeping. But if you eat a big meal too late, your body is actually now digesting rather than resting. And so that it's making it active and very alive where it's supposed to be resting down, right? So our digestive system actually starts slowing down pretty significantly around 2 p.m. So eating your last main meal between 6:30 at the latest, but between 5 and 6 is probably more ideal. And then if you need a little snack before bed, that's easier for the body, on the body. Some other contributors that can cause stress that causes insomnia or sleep disorders would be a blood sugar imbalance. And of course, that can come from just from eating late. That could come from drinking alcohol regularly at night. Alcohol is a huge booster of your blood sugar, and that can cause an imbalance in your pH levels at night, so your body is not resting with that. Or, eating foods that have higher levels of carbohydrates, simple carbohydrates, so lots of pastas and rice and dairies. Some other stressors that contribute to sleep disorders are just basic day-to-day emotional stressors, whether that be relationships in your family or your friends, or work relationships or work stressors. Those all contribute to that. Let's see here, pharmaceutical drugs. You'll want to look, if you take those and you're having sleep disorders, you want to look and see what are the side effects. It goes deep into side effects. It's not necessarily just the main ones. You can look up side effects and it will show a whole slew of them. That can be a contributor to that as well. And of course, for women, any kind of menopause or PMS imbalances, these can be now temporary, but then we're going to work on like pain. Right? Pain can be more chronic, and that can cause sleep disorders as well. And then you have your detox organs. If your liver and your kidneys and your skin, if they aren't up to par in terms of their ability to detoxify, then the toxicity pretty much gets backed up in your body. It changes your pH levels, your oxygen and pH levels, and this I'll kind of go over a little bit more in our part 2. But it basically, the toxicity gets locked in your body, and your body's not able to filter out like it should be. So you want to make sure that your detox organs, your liver, your kidneys, your skin, you want to be exercising. You want to make sure that you are eliminating on a daily basis. Meaning eliminating via your stool on a daily basis. You should have healthy stools. Another thing is you want to be drinking adequate amounts of water that's mineralized, not just and filtered, right? So you want it filtered, and then you want it remineralized. I'm not going to go into detail on all this, but you want to be drinking half your body weight in ounces. So just make it simple. 100 pounds, you want to be drinking a minimum of 50 ounces of water per day that's been filtered and mineralized. Now, I usually mineralize mine with a salt that's been not heated by high and not chemicalized. And it's a salt that is Himalayan and a sea salt, and it's been air dried. So I put probably about a quarter teaspoon per 2 cups of water. So I usually get at least about a teaspoon of salt in my water a day. And that's very supportive for adrenals. And adrenals are a very important component to your body being able to switch from fight and flight in your day to rest and digest in the evening. Your adrenals are supposed to be able to switch back and forth of those. So those are just like some big umbrellas of what can be contributors to inadequate sleeps at night. Again, stress is one of these. Thank you, Erin. Glad you're able to pick up on those tips. So now, what is stress to? Stress causes a change in your nervous system. So we have 2 parts of our nervous system. We have fight and flight, which is your get up and go kind of thing. Sometimes adrenaline can get a little bit too much, but your body should be able to switch easily between fight and flight and then rest and digest. So for those of us who are in California and drive on the roads, or have been in California and drive on the roads, by the time you get to your destination, you are on adrenaline being in that traffic. But then you get a chance hopefully, when you're at your destination to wind down. So your body is able to swing back into a rest and digest mode. The issue is when our bodies are in a more of a chronic fight and flight, and that could, again, it could be from inadequate dietaries, inadequate digestion. That can be from just life emotional stresses going on. But another big one that I'm going to talk about today, because you basically cannot get away from it these days, is electrical magnetic frequencies. And I'm speaking more to electrical magnetic frequencies regarding Wi-Fi and all our modern devices that work off of these different electromagnetic frequencies to allow us to operate in our day, on our computers, on our phones, some of us in our cars, some of us in our homes with all the Alexas and Siris and things like that. So all these different devices work off of what's called electrical magnetic frequencies. And here's, I'm going to actually talk a little bit more about this one because it is a stressor on the body. And we're in times that you cannot get away from it. And I'll explain how you used to be able to get away from it. But I even work now I've worked with some people who are Amish because they have had some health disorders because they also cannot get away from the electromagnetic frequencies, and they live in farm country town. So we'll talk a little bit about that. So electromagnetic frequency is natural, but there's also man-made. And there's the two different forms. I'm going to share another screen, have different energies that they extend out into the atmosphere. So the natural forms come out very balanced and at a same amount of energy level. I'm going to share a screen that kind of has a comparison on on my left. I see a sun, so we're going to call that the natural. So our sun and the earth give out magnetic frequencies that are balanced, but are also are at the same pace of how our bodies operate. Okay, so you've been in nature, you've been on the beach, you've been in the sun, you've been on a hike, you've laid out, you've put your feet on the grass, and you feel like this sense of yawning or just a sense of just relief. That is your body working with nature, how God created. We have an amazing creator who has created us and nature to work synergistically together. So we are also electrical beings, and I'll speak to that, but our bodies and the earth resonate with one another. So another stressor you can add to your list is not being outside. Now, I know if we live in different parts of the area and you're in, 2 foot of snow, you're going to try not to be outside as much as possible, unless you're doing something fun in it. But I mean, you want to, at a minimum, try to get 20 minutes of sun on a bare skin in your day, because that actually does transfer different energies into your body. It helps your body produce melatonin, which is a natural anti-aging. It's a natural antioxidant, which helps free radicals. And it also helps your awake time and your sleep time in your brain. So being outside and getting magnetic frequencies from nature is really good. Then we're shifting to magnetic frequencies that are man-made. And I'm not saying these are bad, but they operate very differently than our bodies. And because we are around them much, 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 much more these days than we are then in comparison to our time outside, our bodies now are absorbing much more of the frequencies that are from Wi-Fi resources. And man-made frequencies have been around for a very long time. It's been around ever since electricity has been produced. But even electricity works at a much higher level of frequency or energy than our body does. So let me put some numbers out. So magnetic frequencies are basically photons that are traveling at light speed that is carrying energy. That's the basics I'm going to say. It's a very basic definition to a very complicated method. But I'm keeping the screen up here because they measure these frequencies one way in waves, and at what the speed of the waves is and what the wave looks like, if it's rounded or if it's jagged, and at what pace it's being sent out. So if you think of the ocean and the waves, you'll see those waves. If you really look, there is a frequency or consistency of how fast the waves are coming in, okay? Whether it's a stormy day or a non-stormy day. And that's kind of how nature works. It's very consistent, it's very smooth, it's very harmonizing. Then when you go to our man-made frequencies, starting just from basic old electricity, you have basically those waves. So our body waves are about almost 7 waves per second if you're measured. They're called Schumann waves. And that's what the Earth gives out. It's 6.87 waves per second. Okay, so let's just round it to 7, okay, to make an even number. When you get to man-made waves, when you look at electricity, and we're just talking about like light switches, turning on your light switches, turning on your stove, 60 waves per second. When you get into Wi-Fi, so we're talking about your cell phones and your routers and your iPhones, those are going out at about, so you're going out about 5 million waves per second. Okay, this is all basically what you're looking at. Then when you get to 5G, you are in the billions of waves. This is just one way to measure. But if you compare billions and millions to single-digit waves, there's obviously a difference, okay, between those numbers. So if our bodies resonate in single-digit waves, and we are in basically environments that are much higher than that, it is putting our bodies in a chronic chaotic stress. So on the right screen, you'll see left and right, you'll see some arrows on the left underneath the sun, and then on the right, you have all these jagged lines. It's just to show a comparison between being balanced and imbalanced in the environments that you are in. And I'm going to stop that screen. So that is a really, again, basic way to describe what's kind of happening in the environment that we're living in. Now, we absorb these waves in our body. Okay, we absorb the energy, not the waves. You absorb the energy in the body. And a couple of doctors, you can look these up, but Dr. Russell Blaylock, he is a doctor that talks a lot about excitotoxins. And excitotoxins include things that you might eat, like different oils like cotton oil and canola oil. They're called polyunsaturated oil. They are considered excitotoxins, yeah, down thumb, in your cells. So it overexcites your cells. Or if you know of like different sweeteners like NutraSweeteners, NutraSweets, and those pink packets and those blue packets, I don't even know what they're called anymore. Those are excitotoxins. They overexcite your cells. They overexcite your cells and basically cause your cells to malfunction. They cause your cells to be damaged, and that causes free radicals. That's one form of excitotoxins. When your cells cannot function, when your cells are overexcited, that causes a slew of issues in your body. Now, electromagnetic frequencies on the man-made side, particularly with these higher waves of energy, they also are an excitotoxin that you don't have to put through your mouth because they're being absorbed through your body. These energies have to be absorbed in our devices, in our air, through our walls, otherwise it won't hit that area. So it's also being absorbed through things you sit on. So we're constantly around it. It's not just in your body, but it's being transferred from one area to the other. So that's why I'm really speaking about this, because it's such a chronic stress. We also, as I said before, You know, God created us and nature to resonate with one another. So we are also electrical beings. Our bodies operate on electrical signaling. So if any of you have ever heard of having a pacemaker, our heart is a natural pacemaker. There's actual electrical signals going in and out of our valves in our heart to pump the blood in, pump the blood out, okay? Our cells communicate with each other through electrical signaling, and they're called neurons and synapses that go on, that are on your nerves and your nerve endings that send signals through the bodies to send communication. So if you touch a hot stove, your body, if your nerves are working correctly, is going to react off that stove because it just got a signal that this is really hot and you just burned your hand. So we are also electrical beings. And I'm stating this because another doctor that you don't have to look up, but you can, but I will send you a link to my website, and I've got a whole mess of his published studies. Dr. Martin Pall, Pall. He is a well-renowned EMF scientist, and he has confirmed many other scientists that have been studying EMFs and how, or he discovered how it actually is causing harm to our bodies. So it's been known that it's causing damage to our body for many studies have shown this. There's like over 20,000 studies if you consider government studies. But Dr. Martin Pall found kind of like the key on how it's affecting our bodies, what is it doing in our bodies. So basically when our cells get inundated with the energies of these magnetic fields, it causes particular cells in our bodies to malfunction. And they're called, there's doors on all of our cells, and there's a particular door that it's causing to open. It's called a voltage-gated calcium channel. You don't have to memorize that. So it's just a door on your cell that involuntarily gets open, and it floods your cells with calcium ions. So an overabundance of calcium just in the medical world is considered inflammation or cell damaging. So when your cells are constantly being damaged, they can't function anymore. And that's what's happening with these magnetic frequencies. Again, I'm not boo-hooing the electronics because we wouldn't be able to do stuff. We wouldn't be able to operate the way we are. But there's a key ingredient, and I've known of this for a long, long time, but I never had the key ingredient to be able to support it up to a few years ago, really. So the reason why I'm speaking of this is because if you are absorbing these frequencies all night long, your body is in a constant chaotic stress. So when it's supposed to be resting, it is not. It is constantly if you think of somebody tapping you on your shoulder 24/7 or on your head 24/7 or just anywhere on your body, that's going to cause a stress in the body. And that's really what these frequencies are doing when we're around them all the time. So I'm going to give you here, you can start writing down some tips on some things. Now, these are things that actually used to work in the past, but I'll explain why they don't work so well anymore. But there's some things that you can start doing. First thing is get your cell phone out of your bedroom and actually turn off your cell phone. Don't have it in your bedroom. So I'm speaking about frequencies while you're sleeping, okay? Just trying, because we're talking about sleep. And so we're trying to create an environment of our body and around our body that's going to create a nice, healthy sleep environment. And the first thing you want to do is keep magnetic frequencies out of your bedroom, point blank. So starting with cell phones, turn them off. You could turn them on airplane mode, and I haven't quantified or confirmed this, but I've heard even some phones when they're on airplane mode can still be in a Wi-Fi mode. And so you're still picking up those signals. And if you are on a mattress that has springs on them, box spring mattress, metal attracts these frequencies. So your bed's an entire antenna for you. Or I was working with the Amish. I mentioned that I have a customer that are Amish, and they were getting bombarded with frequencies because they have metal roofs. and that helps them create electricity inside their house. They, to work that. So that was basically, that was a big antenna on their house. So we worked on remediating their house. So getting electronics out of your bedroom or completely off, that includes your TVs, your iPads. If you wake up in the middle of the night, the last thing you want to do is go to one of your phone and start doing some phone stuff or started doing some computer stuff. By any means, if you have to, write down notes and put it on a piece of paper and pen, just that plain old stuff. If you have to write down notes and then settle your brain back down, but don't go on those electronic devices. Some bigger things that you can do for magnetic frequencies is turn your router off at night. And even a bigger thing you can do is turn off your circuit breaker at night. These are some really important things that you can do to help remove the frequencies while you're trying to sleep. Here's the biggest issue, though, that this doesn't help as much anymore. And this definitely, if you're in a denser populated area, is these frequencies transfer and travel. They have to, otherwise they won't hit our devices. So they're actually traveling through your walls in order to get to your routers, to get to your phones, to get to your Wi-Fi sources. So even though you're turning off those things inside your house, you are absorbing frequencies from other people's places. And with the 5G, the way the 5Gs operate these days, they are operating through satellites. So they're now there's things called low orbit satellites, and so the way we're getting our 5G signal is through our atmosphere. It's traveling from the sky down, and so that diminishes over time, but it still has to be strong enough to get to your devices. And then you have towers, you have 5G towers and cell phone towers, and those are traveling energies too. So you can still turn off all your stuff, but you're still absorbing the frequencies to get from one place to the other. And again, this is stuff I have known about for a long, long time. And the things I've even mentioned, like some people don't ever want to turn their cell phone off. Some people can't. They have parents or children and they need to have those cell phones on because they can these days to keep after their children or their parents or emergencies and stuff like that. So again, this is something I've known for a while. I have tried a gazillion forms of devices. I've spent over the years thousands and thousands of dollars. I have, sleep had been my major issue, but I needed to find out what was causing my sleep disruptions. And, if you go on Google and stuff like that and say, okay, what causes insomnia? Believe me, I was checking the boxes and was meeting every single one. I've had other professionals come out and do meter readings of frequencies, electromagnetic frequencies. You can't get a reading in my place because I have everything so wired or off, but I was still having major insomnia stuff. And I know it was the magnetic frequencies because once God gave me the source to remediate the frequencies, not turn them off, but just change the chaos from them, that's when I started to get better. And that included not just in my living environment during my sleep, but also in my work environment. Because there was many, 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 many times when 5G came out, I wasn't putting two and two together, but I was coming home and my body was like stressed out. My brain was fine, but my body, I just could not get it to calm down. I couldn't figure out what the heck was going on until I remediated at my work environment as well. So I'm going to open up some time for some questions. And I'm looking at a couple of different screens and I see a couple questions here. And before I do go into full question, I'm going to share one more page with you, hopefully, if I got to it. Give me just a moment here. Okay, give me just a moment. So this page I'm sharing is on my website, and I will share in my chat the link to this website. And the reason I'm sharing this, it has the devices, the EMF remediation devices on it. It also has a video on there. It's about a 3-minute video that talks about Dr. Martin Pall, what he discovered, in about 3 minutes what these remediation devices do. They do not turn off the signals. They actually just change the chaotic energy of it. So it actually makes you feel like you're actually outside on the beach or in the grass because you don't have the chaos surrounding you. There are the devices. I'll go a little bit over that down below. And then at the very bottom are references. And you can use these references to look up Dr. Martin Paul. I have several of his references here. There was a European study done in like 2001 that showed that cell phones, like basically a 1-minute cell phone call is equivalent to the amount of damage of one X-ray on your body in terms of cell damage. So I'm going to share this page a little bit. The main things I would talk about in terms of remediating your home would be a home box, which is this gray box here. That helps remediate your electrical wiring inside, but it also remediates, more importantly, what's coming from the outside into your home. So basically, the signal's coming in, the energy is there, but it's in a much different form of energy. We talked about those waves of waves per second. You're back down to a single-digit wave, basically, sensation. So you'd be looking at basically remediating your home, whether that be whatever that is, a home, an apartment, a condo, a townhouse. You want that box on there. There is another device called a Sleep Z's. It looks like a beanbag. If you have a box spring or anything metal in your bed, you want that Sleep Z's between your box spring and your mattress. And that basically, again, changes the metal to not be an attractive metal for frequencies for you. And then right next to that, to the left, is a little clip. It's called a device chip. If you have a router or any kind of wired item that's giving off Wi-Fi or internet in your home, then you want this device chip. It's very simple. It basically just clips on to the power cord that goes into your router or into your Alexa or whatever you're using for Wi-Fi. And that remediates that 5 million waves per second. So your router still works exactly what it's supposed to. Instead of, the only thing it's not doing is sending the chaos in your environment. So I'm going to get to a couple of questions. Yeah, even the circuit breaker, Megan. So that's at your 60 waves per second. And so let me look here and ask look at a couple questions. So Michelle, is there anything we can do during the day to help? Maybe foods and nutrients. Okay, that's a great question. And I'm going to answer that a little bit more in part 2. The answer is yes, but the reason why I'm putting that in part 2, and this is huge, is because your body's going to digest foods and nutrients. When your cells are being constantly attacked and damaged, I don't care how much amount of nutrients you're putting into your body, it's being worn off in a heartbeat because of the stress of the EMF is producing on your human body, on your cells. So you're putting this stuff in, but even faster, the magnetic frequencies are even working harder on your body. And that is causing your, whatever you put in your body that was good is basically wearing it off in a heartbeat. So, but I will talk about that. But the first thing, you got to get the elephant out of the room. And that's the magnetic frequencies. Otherwise, you're just pouring stuff in your body and it's going right out of your body. Let's see here. You mentioned salt. What is the salt you mentioned you add to your water? So the salt I use is from Premier Research Labs. That is the best tasting and is the most pure salt. I've been using it for 15 years. It doesn't have a high salty flavor, but it's a very mild, it's a very gourmet tasting. And I know it's not highly heated. And I'm very familiar with Premier Research Labs and how they work with their nutrients and things like that. And I know they test everything. So there's no sand in it left over. They have all the things that don't need to be there taken out. Let's see here. So that is Premier Research Labs, and it's called their pink Himalayan salt. And there's 2 different types of salts in there. Do you have to buy all the devices, or does the big one cover it all? Yeah, that's a great question. It does not cover it all, but it covers a big majority. And the first thing I would say you'd want to do, because you can do stuff internally in your house. We don't have a lot of control of what's coming in from the outside. So the biggest thing you'd want to do in terms of, getting the biggest bang for your buck is get the home harmonizer. And that home harmonizer, I can talk about it more, that metal box, I'm going to scroll up on my screen if I'm still sharing. This metal box can either sit next to your electrical meter. If you don't have access to it, you can put it next to your circuit breaker against your wall, either on a shelf. And that actually what this box does, again, it will help remediate the wiring of the place you're living in, but more importantly, it's remediating what's being soaked into your house from the outside, whether it be from the satellites in the sky to the 5G towers, to the device towers, to our neighbors and all their devices being soaked in. So that, if you start with anything, I would say start with that. And then internally, you can turn your router off at night. You can turn your cell phone off at night until you can get some devices to add to those. So great question on that. Let's see here. I saw another question on Facebook. I don't know where that went, so sorry. Yeah, let me know if you're liking this information. Is it helpful? Do you try a little to see if it helps enough? And so, yeah, you can start with one thing. That would definitely be the main thing that you'd want to start with. I have had people tell me, basically, they've done the home harmonizer and a sleep Z's, and they don't even, many people that haven't even realized that that they're not getting good sleep until they remediate, and they're like, wow, I'm even getting better sleep. Or I have had people who I'm also, those who don't know me, I'm also a Pilates teacher, and I work with a lot of people who have back issues and joint issues. And after people have remediated, I've had people that their back issues completely go away. Now, that's not everybody, because usually it's a lot of times our health stuff is multi-layered, but you want to start with the things that are causing the symptoms on that. So in terms of that, I've heard people's joint pain go away, because again, our bodies are electrical beings. Your nervous system is an electrical aspect of the body. So let's see here. I'm looking at different questions that have come through. Let's see. Let me know if this is kind of chiming in on you. I know I'm talking in like big words, and sometimes some things that people have never heard before, like what is electrical magnetic frequencies. I can talk a little bit more about that as well. And there's also what I do also offer, if you want some more specific questions with regards to your home, I do offer one-on-one consultations, absolutely free, just so we can talk about, your living, your dwelling place, where, things that you are at in terms of, your living environment, not necessarily the inside, but also the outside. And we can talk about different aspects of that to help you get through on these things. Has everybody, I'd be curious, has anybody heard of electromagnetic frequencies before? You can kind of put a comment in, or a hand up, or a thumb up. Just looking at some things here. Okay. How quick did you feel benefits? Yeah, that's a great question. Okay, anything in the car? Yeah, okay, yep. So, how quick do you feel benefits? Not everybody notices it right away. Some people notice it right away. Some people, it allows their bodies to start healing from other aspects. So some people don't notice it right away, but other things that they're doing to help their body, let's say blood sugar or gut imbalances, their body's ability to heal with these other issues going on in their body is sometimes what the ticket is. So when your body's in constant stress, it cannot heal. It cannot heal. It doesn't have any energy left to heal. It's in constant stress. So you have to get the stressor out of the way. So that was a great question. So again, some people feel benefits right away. Others don't. Some people, it takes a long time, and other people might not necessarily feel the direct benefit, but start feeling benefits of other things that they're doing. So as a functional health practitioner, when I work with my clients, You know, this is one of the first things I go to if possible, okay? Because this is the bigger elephant that has to be targeted, because I can fill you with nutrients, I can get your diet all the best. Believe me, I've done that. And it's like wasting all that energy because you constantly still have a stressor. Anything you do for the office and car? Yeah, it's a great question. So yes, so I'll share my page. There is a device. So for where I work, I put up 2 home boxes in the area I work at, because where I'm at actually houses the actual electrical room for the entire place. So I put up 2 of these home boxes where I work. And across the street from us is an electrical subunit that sends electricity to an entire neighborhood. So big bombardment on my end. But for smaller scale, in terms of your office, there are things called room harmonizers, and they're plugins. They're not electrical, but they work when they are connected towards your circuits. So this, I'll take that. That it's that white air thing that looks a little tall. You can travel with that, and you can put it in the office in an electrical circuit, so as close to your area as possible. And that actually will remediate a certain square footage around your area. In terms of cars, that's a great question, because now a lot of us have those cars that are e-cars, electric cars, or a lot of Wi-Fi. So remember, or maybe you don't, I'll remind you, metal is an attractor to signaling. So your car isn't a big antenna for you. So you're, again, not even just the regular magnetic frequencies, but it's using your car to magnify out to other places, plus what's in your car. So there's also a device a remediation device that plugs in to your, down here on the corner, that plugs into where that, what was it called? Cigarette lighter, or your charger. They call it your charger now, not a cigarette lighter. So your charger, it plugs in there, and that remediates your car. If you have a newer, if you have a car that's an entire e-car, a lot of those cars don't have those chargers. You could tape some of the sleep Z's together and put them underneath your floor mat. So depending on the type of car, you would want 2 to 4 of those Z's and put them underneath your car floor mat. And because metal actually helps these devices work. Now, I will say these remediation devices, they have all natural materials in them. So as I mentioned in the beginning, Earth gives out a frequency, but it's a frequency, it's an energy that resonates with our body, and it overrides the chaotic frequency. So it just kind of lines the frequencies up like soldiers. Something you can throw in your purse that would not benefit you, but there are personal devices like a card. I'm going to stop my share. And I use these cards around. So this has really disrupted the magnetic frequencies disrupted my GI. So I put them in the pocket of my pants or around my waistband of my pants. And there's 2 sides. There's a sandy side. You can see the earth elements in there. And so just putting this, so you put it in your bra or your sports bra, or, I just find it really convenient for there. So you wouldn't want to put it in your purse. You would want it close to your body for your personal body. Do they need to be replaced at some point? Awesome question. Yeah, you're not buying a subscription with me. That's the beauty, okay? These devices have been tested to go beyond 5G. One thing I should mention, these devices, the reason why I bought into him after already investing thousands of dollars in other devices as I started to look at the science he was looking at, number one. And then they did human cell testing on these devices. That is shown on my website, and I'm happy to go over that in more detail. A researcher, Dr. Vita, who would not want to get her, her name or her credentials squashed, she went and she did some testing with these remediation devices with cells, human cells, and saw how the cells changed when the environment would change from a chaotic environment to a remediated environment. It showed the calcium levels in these cells get altered within hours or minutes. So yeah, so these do not wear out, but as our levels of magnetic frequencies continue to increase, it's going to be a while. These devices right attractive and kind of cumbersome. And they can work up to a certain degree, but they can also sometimes attract metal too. So because they're metal, they could possibly attract if you're not covered fully or depending on your environment. So you can consider some clothing. I also like this remediation devices that's because it's more convenient and I know it's working. Let's see here. Yeah, these are great questions. I love it. Well, I thank you. I thank you so much for questions. Let me put in my chats the link to this website. You have a free consultation on this either via Zoom or if you're local, I can do it. Let's see here. I'm putting this up on the Zoom chat and I'll get it in my live Facebook somehow. But if you want to have a free consultation on this, you want more questions answered, if you want better understanding, once you get to my website, there is a contact page that you can go to and just click on that contact page and it'll send me an email and I thank you for joining CoeDynamics Live. You're so welcome, Barbara. And I look forward to, now there's a part 2 to this sleep stuff room. So next month, subscribe, you'll get the announcement when you're ready. Nutrients, foods for having you, everybody. And thanks for joining. You have a wonderful night. You're very welcome. Awesome, everybody.